The energy on this planet is intensifying to such a degree that perhaps within the next few years, there may be an event where we end up seeing the Earth split not into two Earths, but three distinct Earths. And this is information that is coming from my communications with higher dimensional extraterrestrials. And I have been gathering information from them, and some of it has been difficult to comprehend. Some of it's just, has just been hard for me to believe. But the thing about this is if you're patient and you wait long enough, enough information will find its way to you, and then all of the pieces come together. And I finally now have a belief that I have at least a vague understanding of what is most likely going to happen. Again, I'm not married to any of this. I am not making a psychic prediction. And if I turn out to be wrong, I will be the first one to admit it. I don't care. But this is what I have been seeing, what I believe I've been told by higher dimensional beings, but I'm not the only person that's having this vision and this experience. So I'm going to get into the specifics, and I'm going to tell you not only what is happening, I'm going to give you the background behind it, because now I know the history for planet Earth and that this has been planned all along. And whether or not you end up in the middle world there on the left that looks like a nice beautiful green world, or you end up at the highest frequency up in the middle, or if you end up in this lowest frequency Earth in the bottom right there, we're going to talk about how you can make that decision as well. So let's get right on into it. So here's what so far here's what I believe is very likely going to happen. So the Earth that we're on now is going to molt. It means it's gonna take its skin off, and that's probably not the most scientific way to talk about it, but it helps you understand. The most superficial part of the Earth, the skin of the Earth, the part that has the least amount of spirit or energy, that where most three-dimensional people live, that we'll call the skin of the Earth. The Earth is going to expand into a new being, and so the skin is going to come off. So that's going to be, we'll call it 2D Earth. It'll probably still, people in it will probably still experience what we would consider scientifically to be a third-dimensional space. Bear in mind, these words of 5D and 3D, people conflate it with the word density. So density does have a meaning, but in terms of the spiritual crowd, when people say the second density, the third density, that is a made-up nonsense word. I would get rid of it. I'm okay with using the word 3D and 5D because there's some truth to those numbers. And dimensions are a real thing, and I've come to find out that dimensionality is extremely important. Density numbers, it's just, like I said, it's nonsense words that don't have any real definition or real meaning in terms of what we're talking about. All right, so anyway, forgive me for going off on... I'm a stickler for the truth. Listen, the reason why you should watch me is because I am more interested in the truth than I am in feeling comfortable and being popular. I am interested in telling you the truth whether you like it or not. It's okay with me if you don't like me and you leave and you never talk to me again. I'm going to tell you the truth as I see it if you ask for my help. And if you've come onto this channel, you have given, it's the same as coming and asking for my opinion. You clicking on my video. I didn't knock on your door and say, hey, do you want to know my opinion about the... No, I didn't do that. You came onto my channel. So I'm going to tell you the truth as I see it. I may end up changing my mind. But the reason why you should watch me is because I'm not here telling you what I heard somebody else say or what is most popular or what's written in a book or any of that. I'm telling you what I have proven through my experiences. And I teach you how to have those experiences. So you shouldn't take my word for anything, even though I tell you you should listen to me. You should not take my word as the final authority. You should find out through your experiences, not through what other people say. You know, people think that doing research is going and researching what other people think. David Icke does that. He calls it research. It's not research. It's just compiling hearsay opinions and picking out the ones that relate to your emotional attachments. It's very biased. I don't do that. I'm a very unbiased researcher, and I research through experience. So when I tell you something and I say this is what I know is true, it's because I've experienced it. If I tell you this is what I think is true, it means that my experiences are pointing in a particular direction, or there are things that I have heard or have been told that kind of lead me into a direction based on my experiences. Okay? So take it or leave it, but at least you know where I'm coming from. So here's what I think is going to happen based on my research and experiences. Oh, so, oops, that's not where I want to go. I want to go, yeah, there it is. All right, so this earth that we're on is going to molt. And out of it, we're going to get 3 different earths. There's going to be the lower earth, the one in the bottom there, this, the brown sort of thing. That's actually going to be the skin of the 3rd dimensional earth. It turns out, to my happy surprise, there's going to be an intermediate world that is going to be either wholly or mostly grassland. And I could make some guesses as to why that is. But this will be an intermediate place for healing and getting people ready for the higher frequency 5D world. Okay, so this has, you know, one of the things that's been kind of, I won't say it's been bugging me, but I've been noticing this, is that I and other people who are doing the kind of work that I'm doing are awakening energetically and interdimensionally very rapidly. And we're having very powerful, bizarre experiences. And it turns out that not everybody seems to be having that. You look around at the basic person and they're nowhere near that. Most people are completely clueless to this. So I've been thinking to myself, gosh, it's going to be lonely in 5D because there seems to be almost nobody that's, you know, even open to that. And I know what I've had to go through, the tremendous psychological, spiritual, energetic changes that I have had to go through just in the past 4 years, and what I'm continuing to go through, the continued expansion and all of that has been incredibly challenging on many levels, and I'm actually going after it and I'm working towards it. So I imagine people who aren't, who are clueless about it or have a lot of, you know, lower frequency issues to deal with, I can't imagine that they would be able to make that shift that quickly. And as I said in one of my recent videos, I talked about how what happens when the light hits you. And that was coming from the perspective of we go from this 3D to the higher 5D world. And yes, to make that leap is, for some people, is just going to be a very intense experience. So now, with the added knowledge that there is going to be an intermediate world, that seems to make a lot more sense, and that's going to make things a lot easier. So let's go backwards. Let's talk about each of the worlds. So again, what's going to happen is that actually what is happening right now, if you'd like to see a really cheesy picture of it, if you'd like to know what's going on, this is what's going on right now. Okay, so you can't see it, but above Earth's North Pole, there is an interdimensional ship that is blasting energy down through the poles, going from the North Pole to the South Pole. It's creating a very powerful toroidal field around Earth. And then we have Shiva. Shiva, I don't care that you may not know anything about Hindu religion, or you may not like Hindu religion. I don't care. You can call him whatever name you want. But there is a being that is actively, right now, sending energy into the earth to shift the earth's frequency up. Now, the history behind this is what, to me, makes it very interesting. So here's the history of it in a nutshell. Before the earth was created, we live in a multiverse of conscious spiritual beings in multiple different dimensions. And there's a group of very powerful beings that, if you were to look at them, the way that they appeared to me was just tall shafts of different colored light. And these beings, what they do is they come up with ideas for new worlds for souls to go and enter. Now, all of the souls, unlike what you've been told, live in blissful peace. They love each other. They're fully aware of their spiritual essence and that they are gods. They have access to their higher level aspects of themselves, and they love to incarnate into different worlds to have different experiences. They like the experience of being physical in different vibrations, learning different things, experiencing different things. They also like being spirits and being gods and expanding. And so what happens is these gods, which is you're one of these gods. These gods like to work out, if you will. And so they will go and incarnate on a planet in order to squish themselves down into a physical or a smaller experience in order to experience the, whatever you get out of being in that environment. And then they leave that and they've expanded, they become stronger. So this is what souls do. So these shafts of light, they decided we have to make one because we're getting these complaints. Souls are coming back from, I was just on Arcturus. Yes, I was just on, the Lyran planet. I went over to this galaxy and that galaxy, and I've incarnated in those, and I've really enjoyed it, but there's something missing. I really want to get to something more intense and more powerful so I can become more powerful. So these lights, we got to figure out a way. So they come up with the idea for planet Earth, and they make it the most difficult, challenging soul environment exercise in the multiverse. And they even go so far as to say, now we're going to even make it even more challenging. When you go, you're going to forget who you are. You're going to forget that you're a god. And that was very risky, but they went ahead and did it. And the guy who was the most vocal proponent of making this the most challenging school, he volunteered to go down and incarnate. And he's the project manager of this place. And so he vacillates between being incarnated as just a normal human, and then depending on the ages that we go through, he will allow himself to become a demigod, and he will be king of the earth, which means he's just managing the experiment. He's not doing it to rule over anybody. He's doing it to watch over this experiment and to make sure that all of the souls that come here get the most out of their experience. And so it's a very intense experience for this, this being. But that's, if you want to know who that is the god Shiva. That's one of the names that he has. Another name that he's had in the past has been Odin. Now, don't compare him to all other gods because they're not the same. Shiva is not Jupiter. Shiva is not Thor. Shiva is not Deus Pitta. Shiva is not Venus. These are all different gods that have different functions. So what Shiva does, his main goal, again, this is the guy who's the project manager of the planet Earth experience. And so his main job is to watch over this whole project. And his job is to awaken. His thing is, I want to create a world where people awaken, where souls, where gods awaken to even more spiritual power within themselves. This is why Shiva is seen as the highest deity, why he's seen as the portal to the highest consciousness. I'm not going to say whether that's true or not true. What I am going to say is that at the very least that is necessary, because all of the souls that come inside the third dimension, they need a portal through which that they can connect to the highest frequency. And so he serves as that. And so he is associated with the third eye, the highest of the centers in the body. He has somebody that's working with him, and this is the god Vishnu. So Vishnu is called the preserver, and Vishnu is seen as an avatar who comes and brings, he destroys negativity so that people can experience themselves. And so that is what he does, is he creates a safe space, and he is connected to the heart center of within the body. So that's the role that he serves. And I'm not sure what other, where he's popped up in other parts of mythology. I'm sure if we look hard enough, we'll find it. But that's his job. And then there's Brahma, and I've come to the conclusion right now, which I'm willing to change, that Brahma is the combination of the four shafts of light when they put their energy together, because it's their project. It's not just Shiva's project. He's the project manager, but it's not just his project. He's most closely associated with it because it was mostly his idea. But these other lights, these other, what they call themselves, the guardians, they have a vested interest in this project. So they have their own ways of connecting. And so when all of the shafts of light come together, this is called Brahma. There's four of them. When all four of those shafts of light come together, this is Brahma. And that's why Brahma is the creator. Because Shiva isn't the creator. He's the project manager. And truth is that the world was created by all of the intergalactic civilizations coming together and bringing their ideas and adding their ideas, and so it was a communal effort. Does that make sense? So we're now coming into this place where the project is going through this was planned, a planned upgrade. So we've taken this experiment as far as it can go in terms of the third dimensional experience. So there are a bunch of souls here, and a lot of them have been here for a long time. And so they have a lot of what we call karma, which is things that have happened as a result of interacting with the game. And if you interact with the game in a certain way, it embeds you more deeply in the illusion of the game. And if you take different actions, it actually awakens you so that you become less connected to um, inside the illusion of the game. So we're going to go through this planned shift for the project, and that means that the third dimensional aspect is going to be deleted. It has served its function, meaning that all of the souls that were going to be a part of that third dimensional experiment have learned everything there is to learn. Every possible permutation of a soul inside the third dimensional video game, they have all been played out. So there's no more knowledge to be learned, and there's nothing to gain, and so it's going to be deleted. So the game is still going on. However, people, as you and I, we're still in it. The people who have passed on, they're out of the game and they're watching. They're sitting at home and they're eating popcorn and watching what's happening. We're still in it, and they're rooting for us to wake up. Yay, wake up! Oh, that guy didn't wake up. Oh no, he went out and cheated on his wife and killed his boss. Oh, he's going to be stuck in there for a while. Oh, I was really hoping he was going to make it. That's what's going on out there. Here, people are still clueless. So as the Earth splits off into 3 different frequencies, the first one is going to be what we perceive as the third dimensional world. It's going to be the skin of the world is going to peel off, and then it's going to create its own very short-lived experience. So that is what we're going to talk about first, which is the lower world. So the lower 2D Earth, this is Gaia's unconscious mind. So another way to look at this is that souls are going to go to different levels of Gaia's, Earth's mind. There's the unconscious, there's the conscious, and then there's the superconscious. So there's the unconscious. Unconscious means that you're dreaming. You're just lost in a dream. You have no idea who you are, what's going on. You're lost in some weird, strange dream that you can't wake up from. Deeply, deeply unconscious. That's where this is going to go. We can see that already, what's happening in the world right now. So this is Gaia's unconscious mind. It is complete isolation from the spirit. So because this is, it's a, I don't even know how to describe it. It's an AI version of Earth. It's not real. It acts like it's real. It responds to you, but there's nothing there. There's nobody home. There's no energy. There's no spirit. There's no consciousness left. So these people are going to be in this empty, mindless world. It's going to be really dark and empty, and I don't know how horrible it's going to be or how much of a hell it's going to be. I don't know. But it's going to be worse than it is now. It's going to be a lot like, my thing is, what I think is going to happen is the technocrats. My personal belief is that that what's happening right now, again, this is my belief. And again, this is based on what higher dimensional beings and ETs have shown me about what's going on. The elites running this world, they're all psychopaths, narcissists, extremely emotionally wounded and damaged. You'd be accurate in calling them NPCs, because NPC means, they're just programs walking around in the game. They're not real. But the truth is, they're not NPCs. There are souls in there. There are actual gods who have condensed themselves down, but they do not have access to their own soul. So the only thing that's running the show is their human, psychopathic, narcissistic ego. They don't have access to their soul, and as a result, they are absolutely, utterly miserable. But you're right in calling them NPCs. The truth is, they will all wake up, and they will all realize who they are, and they will have to go through a detox period and all of that, but they will eventually make their way back, and they'll all end up in 5D at some point. You may not like that, but you should be glad that that's the case. In any case, but that's what's going to happen. All the NPCs are going to be pulled down into their own fake world. It's like I remember watching Star Trek: The Next Generation, where these AI characters get out of the, what do they call that? You know, the holodeck. These holographic characters escaped the holodeck and they became conscious and real, and they started causing all these problems. And so what ended up happening is that somebody figured out how to trap them back into, and you pulled out this hard drive. Said they're in this hard drive. They think they're going through the universe, but they're not. They're just now programs in this hard drive, and we're going to stick them in the computer here, and they're going to just play out forever, and we don't have to worry about them. They'll just be on their own isolated hard drive. They won't have access to anything else in the ship. That's what's going to happen. This lower world is going to be like that. The people are going to be on their own little isolated world, and they will be wrapped up in their own little hard drive. They will be able to escape, but it's going to be, well, I assume it's going to be harder than it is now. They're going to be really wrapped up in an unpleasant experience. So it's going to be collectivism, which means individuality is going to be gone. It's going to be narcissistic vampirism, psychopathic enslavement, and codependent victim mentality. I'm really, really harsh with people who have victim mentality. And I know you think that I'm not listening to your feelings, and I know you think I'm attacking you, and I know that you feel personally criticized for having this belief. And I wish I had time to, very lovingly go around that so I could get in there and make you feel loved and seen. But we don't have time for that. I'm just here to tell you that any victim mentality is potentially lethal to your awakening. So those of you that are emotionally attached and really want to believe that there's this false light that wants to get you, I know that that's how you feel, and you're right. But if you hang on to that, you're going to experience it, and that's what this will be. This lower earth will actually be a world of complete false light. There will not be any real light. There will be no experience of the self, of connection. You will all be basically like that, a bunch of TVs plugged into the giant internet. You won't even have thoughts of your own. So what they're trying to do now, all the things that they've been trying to do to us, and all of the ways that many of the people with really out there theories are saying, that they have the ability now to use nanobots to get into your mind and your bloodstream and control your thinking, control your behavior, control your reactions. That is what's going to happen. So I believe that where things are going is where this world is, this lower world is going to end up. So what I've stopped doing is I'm no longer waiting to see the elites get their just desserts and get taken off to jail and then get the world back. No, I think what's going to happen is they're going to create their fake little digital world, and then they'll just get pulled off into it. I think they'll probably wonder what happened to all the people in the world, but that's okay. They want most of the people gone anyway, because the smaller amount of people, the more able they are to control them. So that's what I'm seeing here. All of this stuff here. There will be no ruler down here. So unlike in the middle world and the upper world, where there will be a king in each one of those worlds, who again is like a project manager who's going to be giving of their frequency and their consciousness to aid people and help them awaken and have their healing and their freedom. There won't be any of that in the lower world. There's nobody there to watch over them. It's just going to be chaos. It's going to be like, being in prison. It's just going to be like take a bunch of criminals and throw them into, big giant gated prison and lock the doors and just leave. They're going to be completely on their own, and there won't be anybody to stop them doing whatever the heck they want to do. So if you want to hang on to that victim mentality, you will create it. I don't wish that on you. I'm just telling you that is what's going to happen. So you've got to drop that. And it's okay if it's difficult, if you're frightened, and if you emotionally don't want to let go of that belief. All of those feelings are okay. In fact, it's normal. But if you want my help, I can help you move beyond that. And I talk about that on this channel. I'm getting less and less willing to listen to people, that drop passive aggressive, argumentative comments in the channel. First thing I say is, if you don't like it, go to another channel. And people say, why do you tell me that? I'm just because I don't agree with you? Well, basically, I'm here from a place of knowledge and a place of expertise. And if you don't see me as that, stop wasting your time. But the other thing I'm doing is that people have become so aggressive and so passive aggressive, and they've become so entitled because they live online that they don't have any filter. And they just throw out whatever negative, childish, entitled thing comes out. Just to give you an example, somebody got upset about, I wasn't even saying anything. I was talking about Shiva. And the person said, why do you talk about Hindu gods when all religions are going to be proven wrong? And I said, hey, look, if you don't like it here, there's plenty of other channels. Wait, I'm not trying to criticize you. I'm just trying to ask you, why are you talking about Hindu gods when all religion is proved wrong? It's like, you're answering your own question, and I'm just not interested. And I'm going to be like that. Because if you don't know, one of the reasons is if you don't know how to ask questions of higher dimensional beings, it's going to be challenging for you to move on. You've got to learn how to ask questions and listen. And most people, what they've been trained to do is be entitled, wounded children who don't know how to ask questions. They don't know how to constructively interact with people. And so if you push my buttons in the wrong direction, I'm going to let you know. It is not my job, just because I'm on the internet. It's not my job to be on the other end of your narcissistic confusion. It's not my job. So the thing is about learning means you're going to have to be willing to hear things you don't want to hear. So if you want to learn, I will help you, but you have to learn how to ask. All right, so that's the lower earth. This world will fade away like a bad dream. So the good news is that I don't believe that lower earth is going to last. It's not going to last forever. It's just like, again, it's like when a snake sheds its skin, the skin stays around for a while and then it decomposes pretty quickly. So that world is going to go off and then it's going to decompose. I don't know what happens then. I'm sure the souls will end up somewhere where they need to be and make their way back to these other experiences that we're having. So that's the lower earth. Let's talk about the middle earth. This is the new idea for me here. So this is interesting. So the 4D middle earth is a world of grasslands. Now, I haven't been thinking about this because I've been connecting to what I believe is the 5D world. But there was one interdimensional live guided meditation that we did where the beings said, we're going to show you what's going to happen to Earth. And then we were shown that the Earth turned into this grassland. It was just grassland for as far as you could see. It was like the Great Plains or something before, modern Europeans showed up. And there were, what I saw was like, a bunch of yurts type of thing. And people were going into these yurts, and there were communities. And part of the communities, what they would do is they would come together and they would have like these like psychological healing sessions where people would cry and people would work through their pain. And what they were doing is they were detoxing from all of the narcissistic garbage of the third dimensional earth. And so it was a place of just healing. And then there was just peace and calm, and people were just connected to the earth and there was a lot of community. There wasn't a lot of technology, just whatever technology that was necessary. Again, 0 point technology, whatever was necessary to, heat homes and, you know, create water and, power your little vehicles or whatever. Um, and so, but it was a very relaxing, peaceful, just earth, a lot of healing earth energy. And so we saw that, and I didn't really know what to do with that, because that's not the that was an outlier for me. Most of the time, when I go to what I perceive to be the higher dimensional world, I'm in this 5D magical, amazing, really high frequency place with light beings and ETs and all kinds of really, really amazing stuff, but very high frequency stuff. And this wasn't like that. It was peaceful. It was just a place where you could just be, and people were just releasing all of the garbage that they had accumulated from being on planet Earth. So that came up again recently, and I've done a little bit of research and found out that there are a few people that have had that exact same vision, that they see grasslands. And that's what stood out to me. It was just grasslands, just rolling hills and grasslands. And so I've come to find out that that's an actual world. It's this middle world. It's a place of healing transition. So people who need to face the cognitive dissonance of the old earth and heal. So I hope you understand what cognitive dissonance means, but traumatic cognitive dissonance is where we are, where you hold on to two completely opposing ideas, and in order to survive, you have to make those ideas work. This is what monotheist religion is. The idea that God created you in his own image, and yet you're sinful, and God hates sin, and yet God loves you unconditionally, but at the same time, he has to throw you in hell because you're imperfect. But at the same time, you can't help being imperfect just because you were born. And yet God himself is perfect, but he created an imperfect being. And that's because the being has free will, but you can't use that free will to heal yourself of your sins. And so there's just continuous cognitive dissonance that drives you crazy. And so this is what narcissistic abuse, narcissistic grooming, narcissistic torture is. It puts you in this place where you're swung back and forth, these two things that don't make sense, and you end up in the middle being torn apart and being told that that you're unworthy and you're unlovable. And this is what we've been living in for the past going on 13,000 years. So there's a lot of karmic wounding that people are going to have to release. And so this Middle Earth will be for people like that again. And also people who right now, if you were to knock on their door and say, hey, yeah, the 5D, and they would be like, what are you talking about? I have to go pay my bills. I have to go to work. They're not bad people, but they're just really stuck in the third dimension. And when the world shifts, they're going to be like, what the hell just happened? What is going on? And they're going to need to go to a place to be able to make that transition, because it's to go from the normal third dimensional life all the way up, boom, to what we call 5D Earth. For some people, it's too much. So that's what this world is going to be. It's going to be a place of meditation and preparation for the more intense frequencies of 5D. Now, this world is going to be ruled over by Vishnu. And as I said, Vishnu is the human portal of the heart center energy. So Vishnu will be there. I don't know in what form or what he's going to do. I've just come to the realization that, because I've been wondering, what about this Vishnu guy? Where's he going to be? So now I know. He's going to be ruling over this Middle Earth. And I believe he will have access to the upper world and the middle world. He'll probably bounce back and forth between the two. And he's going to, that'll be his project. And he's going to be project manager of that. And he's going to come from a very heart-centered place, which again, the heart is just about love and acceptance and just being, and being safe to just be who you are and just accept yourself right where you are. And very healing, heal you of all of your karmic wounds. So that is based on my experiences, what I've been told, and what's coming, what the Middle Earth is. So let me tell you when I first heard about this. So this was probably a couple of years ago at least. Around 2 years ago. And I had been communicating with one of my students who was saying that they had heard there was not going to be 2 Earths but 3. And I didn't like the idea of 2 Earths. I didn't like the idea that I wanted a solar flash shift event where the sun hit the Earth and everybody shifted up. That's what I wanted. But that's not turns out that's not how things are going to go. So I had started to accept the idea that there might be 2 Earths. And then somebody said there's going to be 3. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. Now it's just getting too much. But then one night I was sleeping and I woke up, as I do, a couple times in the night. I'll wake up and then turn over and go back to sleep. And I woke up and I was turning over to go back to sleep. And I kid you not, in my room, it sounded as if somebody was playing a piano and they were hitting 3 octaves. It's the same note, but 3 octaves of the same note. And I heard that. And because, there obviously was nobody in the room. I wasn't asleep. I wasn't dreaming. And I'm looking around and I'm realizing, okay, so my ET friends are trying to tell me something. So I said, okay, gotcha. Turned around, went back to sleep. And then when ETs want me to know that, that I'm not making it up, that they're really telling me something, they will repeat something at least 2 times. So sure enough, a couple hours later, I wake up and I'm turning over to go back to sleep, and the same thing. I hear in the room somebody playing a piano and they hit 3 octaves of the same chord. And I went, okay, I got it. I hear you. The message was very clear that there's going to be 3 octaves of the frequency of Earth. It's going to be the same note, meaning it's going to be the same Earth, but there are going to be 3 frequencies of it. And something had happened just before that. It just flew out of my head. But anyway, maybe it's not that important. It was important to me. So that's why now here it is, 2.5 years later. Now all the information is coming together and I can see it and it makes perfect sense to me. And now I know what this is. When we saw this, I'm like, wait a minute, that's not 5D Earth. What the heck is that? But the ETs were very clear. They said, this is what is going to happen to Earth. And so I was like, oh, okay. And now I know what they were talking about. All right, so let's move to the star of the show here, the 5D Earth. This is the upper 5D Earth. Forgive the cheesy AI picture. It's the best I could do at short notice. So this is going to be a higher frequency Earth. If you want to view it as a place for advanced star seeds, you can. But my experience of this place is that it's very much like Earth, actually. My experience of it is that there's a physical Earth and there's a lot of forests and mountains and rivers and waterfalls, and the light in the sky shimmers in a different way, and everything has an aura, and there's just bliss, just absolute, utter, complete bliss. Like it's the most orgasmic bliss, and it's happening all the time. It's just like a continuous orgasm. And there are beings from other planets and other dimensions that come and go, and you can literally create with your mind. And children will be born extremely powerful and telepathic, and the only thing that they will be encouraged to do is to just live from their soul and just create. And there will be beings from other worlds that will come and learn from humans that are now these powerful beings of light, these demigods. They'll be demigods, and they will be learning from these humans about how to go deep within the soul and live and have the soul become more powerful, and to live even more deeply in an authentic, powerful way. And there will be, there won't be any big, ugly cities. There will be like cities made out of crystal, and there will be portals, and there will be let's see, what are those things called? There will be megalithic stone circles that can be used to create all kinds of portals. And there will actually be people whose job it is to sit in those things and send energy down to the two lower earths, so that like we do now, people like pray to God, to get connected. There will be people whose job it is just to send energy down to those two lower worlds. And I believe people from that middle world will be able to shift up when they're ready. And I believe also the people in the lower world will be able to shift up when they're ready to let go of their narcissism and their victim mentality. So those are some of the things I've seen and believe are true about the upper earth. And so this might be the place for, right now, the advanced star seeds. So I do believe that there are people like that. I believe that there are people that are waking up. I believe that I was awakened, and I was activated, because I was just, if you've been watching my channel for a while, I'm just a normal human. And I had all the normal human stuff. In fact, I was fully into the narrative, before COVID-19. I was totally, blue-pilled into the narrative. So, but I was activated when I did CE5, and I've been continuously activated. More and more things get switched on in me, and I'm realizing, okay, I'm one of these advanced soldiers going into the new world. And so I believe that the first people that go to this 5D place are going to be the advanced starseeds, people who have a destiny and a karma to be that. And it's important that these people are here on Earth right now awakening, because their frequency is actually creating a frequency vibration that's going to allow for this shift to happen, and pulling other people forward and waking other people up. So I think that's what's going to happen over the next few years, is that, that's my entire focus, by the way. That's why I don't have any time for nonsense. You want to go, you want to feel sorry for yourself, and you want to be angry, and you want to pick fights with me. I don't have time for you. You can go do that with somebody else. I'm only interested in people who are ready to awaken and are ready to do whatever is necessary to awaken. You want to argue with me about it? I can't help you. I'm the wrong person. Go find a Vishnu who's going to help, give you a calm place to be. That's not who I am. I'm an awakener. My job is to awaken you. So that means you got to be willing to look at things and feel some things that are going to be challenging and intense and maybe, difficult. All right. So, I talked about the interdimensional galactic population, and that this is going to be Gaia's third eye. So we've got three worlds here, right? We've got We've got these three worlds right here. Here's a better look at them, right? So we've got these three worlds here. So these could be representative of the three dantians. The three dantians are the three energy points in the body: the navel, the heart, and the third eye. And this would represent the three minds of Gaia: the unconscious mind, the conscious mind, and the superconscious mind. So it's much easier. People work on your heart center, you can connect to your higher center much easily. If you're only trapped in your navel center, it's hard to have access to these other two realms. So, so these are the three minds of, I think these are going to be the three minds of planet Earth Gaia, who, by the way, is the daughter of who will be king of the upper Earth, who is going to be Shiva. So Shiva is going to rule this upper Earth. By the way, Shiva was the guy who was what I call the false light king. At the end of the Golden Age, he became so empowered. He went off the deep end trying to raise the Earth's vibration up, and he went so far as the Earth was shifting down that people looking up at him, they saw him as a false being of light that was trapping them in lower frequencies. That's where this religion originally comes from. That's where the word Lucifer comes from. Lucifer is Latin, which means he who bears the light. So that's this guy. So this guy now for the past 13,000 years has been acting on the spiritual level only. He's been a god. He's gone through this transformation of being this god of death and this god of, just horrible transformation, and then he's evolved into this being where he's just this peaceful meditator, because people who have worshipped him and done his practices have begun to awaken, which is all he wants to do. He wants to awaken people. They've become awakened, and that's calmed him down. And now he's just this being that sits on top of Mount Kailash. We got to talk about Mount Kailash. I got to tell you, there's some crazy stuff going on there. But now he's just this being that sits on top of Mount Kailash, and he awakens people who want to awaken. He's going to be the guy now, and he's not going to be hidden anymore. He's been hidden. Like if you go to Mount Kailash, you won't see Shiva sitting on top of the mountain, but he's there. I know because I've been there. When I go there astrally, he's sitting there. He's sitting there meditating. And so that's a real thing, in my opinion. Believe me or not, it's completely up to you. And so he's not going to be hidden anymore. In this higher third dimensional upper Earth, he will physically be there, and he will be, he'll have I'm sure a bunch of different energy places, but he'll have a throne, and he'll be there to interact with people, and there will be other beings from other dimensions and other planets coming and going and interacting with him. And so he's going to be in his element. It's going to be a lot like it was for him. Let's see, where is he? Is this him? No. It's going to be a lot like. It's going to be a lot like it was for him. Where is that? It must be over here. Anyway, this was another video that I did. Anyway, he's going to be back in his wheelhouse. He's going to be physically there, physically available. He's going to be doing his thing, which he's the project manager of planet Earth, and his job is to set the tone of the frequency. So he's still going to be doing this. He's still going to be doing what he was doing before. He's still going to be doing this, but everybody's going to be in on it. Everybody on Earth is going to be in on it, and he will be able to go beyond the frequency of this higher dimensional Earth, and he'll be able to tap into these higher frequencies, and he'll be able to channel them down into, literally like a balloon, fill the 3D Earth with that frequency. And this time he's going to stay connected to people, and connected to where they are. He's going to be doing his job of inspiring and awakening. And as people continue to awaken, he will bring down more energy and shift the place up higher and higher. So that this place, this upper earth, it's going to start off. I mean, again, this is a cheesy picture, but it's going to be not too dissimilar to that. But it's going to evolve, and it's going to become even more and more high frequency and beautiful until it eventually turns into a non-physical reality. It'll be a reality that is just a reality of light. All right, so the earth is going to evolve into a much higher frequency place. I was talking about the Pleiadians. So the Pleiadians are actually not blonde-haired, blue-eyed humanoids. They made themselves look like that because they used to come down and hang out with, hunter-gatherers thousands of years ago that happened to look like that. And those were the ancestors who became the Norse and the Germanics. And so that's why they have such a strong connection to the elves. That's who the elves are, in case you didn't know. The elves are Pleiadians. But the Pleiadians are not physical. They are non-physical beings. And when you look at them as they really are, you would be shocked. They are dark, amorphous clouds. They're not tall, blonde, blue-eyed humans. I've also found out that that's the case with a lot of other ET races, that they're not physical. So the physical humans are not going to be physical. Eventually, they won't be physical anymore. They will evolve to non-physical beings of light. That's what I've seen looking at it. All right, so there it is. There are the 3 Earths. There are going to be 3 Earths here pretty soon. And so how do you get to the higher Earths? Well, if you want to get to the 2D Earth, just don't do anything. Just continue, plugging yourself in and just doing whatever they tell you, and completely going along with the narrative, and buy into the fear, buy into the false light, just go nuts, crazy, believing in false light religions and totally going off on how you're a victim and these higher dimensional beings from the 4th dimension are doing it to you. Just go off and keep believing that, and if you want, just do that, and that'll take you straight into the lower 2D world. The people that get to the middle third healing, I think those people aren't watching this channel. I think the people that are watching this channel are probably the star seeds that are moving up to the higher one. But there may be some here. So the good news is, if you don't have it perfect and you're open to shifting and awakening, and you're new at this, then there's a good chance you'll end up in this middle world where you'll have a place where you can just heal and still be, fully 3rd dimensional, but without all the negativity will be gone. And you'll just be able to heal and relax, and when you're ready, move up to the higher frequency. And if you want to get up to the higher frequency, then my suggestion is to do the things that I teach. Do CE5 and do it regularly until you make physical contact with a higher dimensional being and learn how to connect with them and communicate with them on a regular basis. Do the live guided interdimensional meditations we do on this channel. And everybody, if you want to, should be going to thunderwizard.com and doing, at the very least, the Awakening the Immortals in the shop section, or doing the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong in the memberships section. And that will help you to shift up. You can get a channeling session from me at channel.thunderwizard.com. That'll create a connection. If you want to learn the really powerful practices that open up the higher dimensional centers of the heart, go to maoshan.thunderwizard.com. All right, I hope that was interesting and educational. time will tell. Thank you so much. I love you all. Thank you for being here. I will see you all very, very soon.